All right, I'm going to come back here because I found a new technique that I want to do. I made a mistake here. I had a piece of audio that said
cartography, cladistics.
I said cladistics and I meant cadastral mapping. So I'm going to cut that out there and come in on the waveform and cadastral mapping. And no, but don't tell that my lips are not synced to it. But with that gap there, I guess I'm supposed to go to Fairlight and open that window, and there it is. There's the moment in there. I don't know how to, there we go. So I guess you can come in here and put in an audio. Is there another audio I'm supposed to add to it? This I do not know. I've never used it before. So let's see what happens when you click on record. Is there a record button to click on? There's record right there. So cadastral mapping, and nothing happened. So maybe it has to be armed or triggered. Oh, I guess you hit record. I guess it's like a recording. Oh, it's just like my recording software, like my digital audio workstation. I don't want to erase any of this though. So actually, somehow I made that really too low. So let me go back here. Isn't that interesting? Okay. So the audio got messed up here. I don't know why. So let me bring that audio form up.
But in the past, they were used primarily for two-dimensional cartography, cladistics.
All right, that's where I said cladistics in the editing timeline. And that's where it was messed up. So you go to the razor blade and you go, okay, boom, I don't want that. I don't want that. And then you select it and you say, I want to cut it, not a ripple cut. So I want to leave a gap. Let me save that so I can go back to it. And now if I go to Fairlight and I have that gap, I could add a track, and I don't mind making it a mono track, audio 3, then arm the track with record, although that ain't doing anything. Should be doing something. Testing 1, 2. Nothing happened. So then I have to figure out, how do I get that? I guess there's nothing in here. There's nothing to add yet. Do I draw something in? Let's see, solo it. But there's no record. Maybe you have to hit shift record or control record. So, okay, that's not happening. Let me lock this so that that's not in the way. Let me activate this track. Maybe that's what I should have done. And then it's still not happening. All right, then I'm going to pause and I'm going to find out. All right, I think I've learned something. I go to Fairlight and I go to the bus format, but I can also go here to A3 input and look at the path settings. No, not path settings. Let's look at the input. Okay, and I have an audio 3 here as a track audio output, and somewhere here, no, that's not, it's track input. Yes, I want to go to track input. I want to go to audio 3, which is that one there, and I want this one and this one to go to there. These are the microphones, the Realtek microphones, and so I want to hit patch, and that should be what does it. And if I've hit patch, now I should be able to enable, and now I can hit record. So obviously this is better if I have headphones, but rather than going and trying to find time to get headphones, I'll just turn off the audio out here, and that way it won't feed back. Let's see if it doesn't feed back. Feedback. Okay, so it's pretty good. And then I'll say cadastral mapping. That's what I want to do. So then I hit the record button and say cadastral mapping. All right, and then when I open this secret back up, I can take that off. So let's see.
Cartography, cadastral mapping.
And it is different. Cadastral mapping. Cadastral mapping. I should say it up in that voice there because that's what my voice was like in this thing. So let's listen to it a second and arm our thing. Let's turn down the volume. Cadastral mapping, something like that. That's the tone I was using. Of course, the background noise is all different. The microphone's different. Do we really care? No, not so much. Back, cadastral mapping. Cadastral mapping. Let's go ahead and hit play.
Primarily for two-dimensional cartography.
Cadastral mapping.
Making
that a little too harsh, so get rid of that. No, let's maybe update it a little bit.
Primarily for
And I gotta listen to that. This using headphones would be ever so much better. Okay.
primarily for two-dimensional cartography. Cadastral mapping.
Yeah, I don't like my delivery there, but that's the way to do it. And if I had headphones, I guess I'm gonna go get headphones. Hold on a second. Okay, I just plugged in headphones, and so now I can...
Primarily for two-dimensional cartography.
All right, so, and I think you in the OSB world are hearing. Let me see what happens when we bring this up, and then hit play.
Used primarily for two-dimensional cartography.
Okay, so cadastral mapping. All right, here we go. So
two-dimensional cartography.
Cadastral mapping. Oops, I said it wrong. But it wasn't even armed. So let's go back into it again. Okay. So
for two-dimensional cartography.
Cadastral mapping.
Cartography.
Cadastral mapping.
Make
that a little bit smaller.
Two-dimensional cartography.
Cadastral mapping.
Making the land.
Yeah. All right. So now that I've recorded it, and I go and save the project, I go back to my editing, and you can see that that little audio section is down there. I like the timing, so I'm going to just trim it up a little bit, and then I'm going to drop it inside here. I have to make it smaller to do so. So then you want to zoom this out, and then you can get away from the snapping. Bring it up. Because it's locked. Okay. So bring it up, and then you can bring this back. Bring that forward. Okay. Let's see. Cadastral mapping. And that's not going there. That is okay. So cadastral mapping.
Making the landscape legible.
Okay, so it's not perfect audio. You can tell it's a punch-in, but it does do the job. And now nobody can tell that I had said cladistics and embarrassed myself. Cladistics is, of course, the science of mapping out the phylogenetic relationships between organisms over evolutionary time, whereas cadastral mapping is when you use maps to delineate boundaries to show ownership and other property rights issues. Cadastral mapping, and you see it kind of maps my lips, but the final thing to do here is to go back to our titles and come up to this other track that we have and drag in a text and drop it over cadastral mapping, if it'll let us. It's locked, so I'm going to unlock it and drop this in here. And yes, just basically coming into the text and saying, I'll say in quotes, cadastral mapping. And that, then let's make it a pleasantish greenish color, and let's change put in a outside stroke, and then we don't need a drop shadow. Drop shadows are always nice to have if one really wants them, but not necessary. I just think they use too much blur on these, and then the offset can be done like that. All right, so then cadastral mapping. So the eye is going to look at that title rather than at my lips, and I think it can pop on cadastral mapping, but I want to pop it on when I say it, so I'm going to line it up with the audio there, and let's see how that works. Cadastral mapping.
Making the landscape
Okay, cadastral mapping.
Making the landscape Okay,
so that's it. That's the quick tutorial here of going into Fairlight and being able to record. So it's got an actual DAW, or a digital audio workstation, which is really neat. nice to see that this DaVinci, even the free version, has all these great bells and whistles. Right, thanks.